He's recognized as the most explosive running back in the NFL. But to say he's just football fast would be a massive understatement. Before the NFL, Devon Achane was a certified track phenom. Here comes Achane, an Achane explosive. Here comes Achane. Look at him go. But the very gift that made him special was also seen as his greatest liability, his size. The man is 5'9", 188 pounds. That's the build of the guy crunching numbers in your office, not someone taking on NFL linebackers. So, how did a player built like that leverage pure speed into a dominant NFL career? Our story begins back in Missouri City, Texas. I probably realized that I was really this fast when I probably got to high school, and I actually start racing other fast people. So, it was okay, now I start noticing I'm pretty fast. Achane quickly cemented himself as one of the premier sprinters in all of Texas, a state known for its brutally competitive track and field scene. And even in that pressure cooker, Achane was crowned the Texas Boys Athlete of the Year. But here's the twist. Long before he was a track star, he was already a menace on the gridiron. No matter where he's getting the ball, he has opportunity to score, and he has 110 touchdowns in his career to this date. And that's absolutely amazing in 3 years. This left him at a crossroads. Focus on a track career or pursue college football? For him, the choice was simple. Football was always my first love. That's what I want to go pursue my dream. Devon decided to stay local, committing to the Texas A&M Aggies, who saw his potential extended far beyond the football field. They gave him the green light to run for their track team as well. Coach Jimbo Fisher had a vision, but Achane's path to the field wasn't clear, as the Aggies already had a star in running back Isaiah Spiller, a sophomore fresh off a 1,000-yard season. As a result, Achane had to be patient, getting very few opportunities early on. Then, in the last game of the year, his moment finally came. Spiller went down with an injury in a tied ball game, and suddenly, all the pressure fell on the freshman. Devon Achane gets down the sideline. The sprinter in the open field, and no one's gonna catch him. He's crazy. He's a little crazy. He put on a show, racking up 164 total yards and 2 touchdowns, leading the Aggies to the victory. Well, Devon, congratulations with the MVP award of the 87th Capital One Orange Bowl. Thank you. I just want to say I love all y'all boys. Especially my seniors. I'ma miss my old line. I see y'all back there. I just can't wait for next season to get back to the ground. But his year was far from done. Achane transitioned straight from the gridiron to the Texas A&M track team, where he immediately established himself as one of the nation's fastest men. As a true freshman, he earned a spot in the NCAA championships and secured All-American honors in both the 100 and 200-meter events. While he seemed poised for a breakout sophomore year in football, Isaiah Spiller was still the starter. The backfield duties remained split, but Achane made every touch count, contributing not only as a runner, but in a different capacity as well. Against the #1 team in the country, that versatility made the difference, and a change got an opening. He's got world-class speed, he's gone, A takes it coast to coast, touchdown Aggie. This spectacular play fueled the Aggies' shocking upset of Alabama, handing them their first loss of the season. I mean, that my first time ever being a part of something like that, watch the fans rush the field. It looked to be lit 30 minutes to get the locker room. Achane wrapped up the year with more than 1,000 total yards and 10 touchdowns. With football season over, it was back to the track for the spring. And this time, he took his performance to an entirely new level. Here comes Achane. And Achane explosive last 20 meters. Imagine what he would do if all he did was track. And I'm glad, and I think Jimbo, he said this several times, and it's so true. He's a football player running track, not a track player playing football. And there's a huge difference. What's truly staggering is that Achane was doing this after a brutal fall season playing running back. He would absorb punishing hits for months, only to show up in the spring and completely dominate world-class sprinters. To pull that off, there's no doubt his nutrition and recovery regimen had to be flawless. Now look, I'm not Devon Achane, but like him, I'm serious about my own fitness. For years, I relied on supplements for my protein goals, but I always knew that nothing replaces real whole food. Well, he couldn't have provided a more definitive answer. The Aggies doubled his number of touches, and Achane responded by absolutely dominating the SEC. A chain across the 30 breaks free. A down the sideline. Keep it on the ground here. Into the end zone. With only one game left on the schedule, Achane had already cleared 1,000 total yards and had 9 touchdowns. He was dealing with a foot injury, though, so the smart move would have been to sit out and get ready for the draft, but he refused. AJ makes a man miss and then darts it to the end zone. Achane, a stiff arm, and cut back inside the 10. Shane again. He put on one of the best performances of his college career, rushing for an incredible 215 yards and 2 scores. Know me coming back, just basically want to give my seniors a great last game at Seafield. That was just my whole little motivation to try to come back. He's a guy with absolutely no ego. You can coach him up on anything. He just shows up every day ready to work. All he cares about is performing at a high level to elevate his team. Achane had already proven he was among the nation's elite running backs, yet the NFL remained skeptical. Hold on a minute with Devin Achane. We're talking about a player who's 5'9" and 188 pounds. That 98 speed rating in the Madden game is definitely eye-catching, but too often, players like that make it their entire identity, their only tool. And in the NFL, if you've only got one move, your time in the spotlight is going to run out fast. It doesn't get to me. Seriously, I get that everyone's entitled to their own take on things. Look, I know I've made it this far as a running back. I don't have that classic running back build, but if you watch the tape, you'll see I'm not just bouncing runs to the sideline. I take it right up the middle. I can handle the punishment, and honestly, that just goes to show you that physical size isn't everything. If you're a football player, you're a football player, period. He tuned out all the chatter and poured everything into the combine, clocking a 4.3240. But even with that, other running backs were considered more well-rounded, and 2 of them were drafted in the first round. With the 8th pick, the Atlanta Falcons select Bijan Robinson. The Detroit Lions select Jahmyr Gibbs. It seemed like the league had pigeonholed him as just a speed merchant, because on the second day of the draft, Zach Charbonnet, Kendre Miller, and Tyjae Spears were all chosen before Achane. The frustration was real, but his eventual destination couldn't have been more perfect. Yo, you still got those Jets, right? Congratulations, my man. You better bring that world-class speed, baby. The Miami Dolphins select Devon Achane. Legitimate track and field speed is on its way to Miami. A team that was already blazing fast just found another gear. Mike McDaniel was assembling an offense built for a sprint. He already had Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and, crucially, the number 1 running back Raheem Mostert, who owned the fastest in-game speed ever clocked for an NFL running back at 23 miles per hour. I've never walked onto a team and been handed the starting job. I've always had to battle my way to the top. When I first got to A&M, Isaiah Spiller was the guy, but I just kept grinding and eventually took over that starting role. His mission was to make every doubter eat their words. And he didn't wait long. In week 3 of the 2023 season, the Dolphins dropped 70 points on an opponent, and the entire league was formally introduced to Devon Achane. And he's breaking through a tackle. Look at him go. A massive lane opens up. You can say goodbye to him. He wrapped up the day with 233 yards from scrimmage, 4 trips to the end zone, and logged the 4th fastest speed in the entire league that year, all while making it seem effortless. But he was far from finished. Achane, the track phenom from Texas A&M, and Achane finds paydirt again before the first down play. A gaping hole for him to run through. It felt like the dawn of a legendary career. But right after that massive performance, the celebration came to an abrupt halt. We've got some breaking news concerning the Dolphins today, and it is definitely not what you were hoping to hear. The Dolphins' rookie sensation, Devon Achane, is set to be sidelined for multiple weeks due to a knee injury. The skepticism was back. Was he really built for the pros? Could his frame withstand the brutal hits of the NFL? Achane was out for 6 games in his first year, and all of the initial excitement vanished. I'm not gonna lie, I'm always on my phone. I'm constantly scrolling through Instagram and Twitter, so of course I couldn't miss all the negative comments. The only thing that matters is how you use it. How you clap back. I just try to never let the moment get too big for me. I've always been a grounded person. Even with the missed time, he made the most of every chance he got. In fact, a strong case could be made that he was the single most efficient running back in the entire NFL. He concluded the season with 800 rushing yards, 197 receiving yards, 11 total touchdowns, and he paced the league in yards per rushing attempt. Absolutely remarkable. And the Dolphins' offensive scheme was the ideal environment for his talents to flourish. But to ensure a long career, some adjustments were necessary. Going from my first year to my second, it hit me that I needed to approach my training differently. The big question was, how can I be available for a full 17 weeks? I really feel like I leveled up in that area. For his entire career, people questioned him because of his size. And he finally silenced every single critic because the most telling statistic of all was that he suited up for all 17 games, completely demolishing the narrative about his lack of durability. With that, the scene for the 2025 season was perfectly arranged. Raheem Mostert had moved on, and Achane was chasing a milestone he had never hit before. I'm aiming to break 1,000 yards rushing. I honestly think I could have gotten it last year. Because when I review my own game film, I see certain plays where I know I could have made a different cut or a better read, but it was never going to be a cakewalk. The Dolphins stumbled out of the gate, starting the season 1-6. Achane was playing lights out, but the entire franchise was feeling the heat. Their offensive line was a mess. Tua's long-term viability was a question mark. Tyreek was sidelined for the season, and Mike McDaniel's job was in jeopardy. To compound the problems, in Week 10, they were up against the Buffalo Bills, who were fresh off a victory over the Chiefs. Absolutely no one was picking Miami to win until one player decided to take over. He powers through. He slips past the line. Achane is loose. He's gonna take it. He's gone. Oh my goodness. What a show from Achane. 174 yards rushing, a pair of touchdowns, plus 6 receptions for 51 yards. An absolutely masterful game from Achane. This young man is just on another level. Miami pulled off a 30-13 stunner in that game, which gave the whole team a much-needed jolt of energy. That's how you play this damn game. When we execute on every single level, man, I swear there's not a team in this league that can hang with us. They can't. They just can't. 1, 2, 3. Achane is the very pulse of this offense. He is the engine that drives them. When I step on that field, man, anytime I get the rock, I'm trying to take it to the house. They know what I'm about. You know what I mean? Like, when I get the ball, I'm trying to spark something. In what turned out to be one of Miami's most disappointing seasons in years, Achane carried the franchise on his shoulders and delivered the great. He set a goal for 1,000 rushing yards and blew past it, finishing with 1,350. He added nearly 500 yards through the air and scored 12 total touchdowns, earning his first ever trip to the Pro Bowl. Man, that's something I always watched growing up as a kid. You know, seeing the Pro Bowl on TV and watching all those legends out there just having a good time. So, for this to be my very first time, I'm just incredibly thrilled about it. The questions were all answered. The kid they called a track star was now the undisputed #1 running back, one of the league's elite, and a true leader for his team. So, what do you want the legacy of Achane from Fort Bend Marshall to be? That I'm a person of character, a true leader, and someone you can absolutely depend on. Hit subscribe to follow more of the journey. We are on the verge of hitting 100,000 subscribers. My gratitude goes out to every single one of you. I'll catch you in the next chapter. Have an amazing day.